What's going on, Hoops fans? It's your boy Brian here with another edition of Hoops Haven TV. It's been a minute since we last spoke. Lots going on in the league over the past week, so let's get into it. First off, the elephant in the room. I'm sure by now everyone's seen Draymond choke out Rudy Gobert. I mean, that was really uncalled for. If you watch the game, there was a little scuffle between the Wolves and the Warriors during their game, and the scuffle involved Klay, and I can't remember who it involved on the Timberwolves side, but Rudy Gobert was actually coming over there to kind of like de-escalate the situation, and Draymond just came up from behind him and just put him in a headlock for like mad long. So I don't know if there's some past beef between them, and he just took the opportunity to just he always wanted to put Rudy Gobert in a headlock and just did that. But that was really uncalled for, and then he was suspended for 5 games. Personally, I think he should have gotten more. That's just my opinion. Just unprovoked, just running over to Rudy Gobert and then choking him for no good reason. He's always been a dirty player. I mean, from kicking LeBron in the balls during the NBA Finals and getting suspended for that. The little beef he had with Donovan Mitchell a couple weeks ago when he just shoved him for no reason. And then you got this Rudy Gobert situation. I mean, suspended 5 games, but he just has a past history of doing this, and he's just a dirty player. There's no really like room for that in the league. I think he should have gotten more games, and then it was just random. Like, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I am a fan of the '90s basketball where it was rough and a lot of fights, but you don't want situations like the Malice in the Palace. And obviously, this wasn't between Draymond and a fan, but you never know, that could incite fans to jump on the court, and next thing you know, you have a huge situation that really just didn't need to happen. So my opinion, I think he should have got maybe at least 10 games, just letting them know that that something like that just isn't acceptable. You can't be just choking people out there, and especially for no reason. Like, Rudy Gobert was not going in there to like throw punches or really aggravate the situation. He was just coming in there for peace. And then disappointed in Cat. Everyone calls Cat soft, but and Patrick Beverly also said he was disappointed in him as well. I mean, going over there and not really defending your teammate. Like, I know he was trying to de-escalate the situation. I'm sure he doesn't want to get suspended, miss pay or things like that. But I just feel like in a situation like that, you gotta try to get Draymond up off of him. I'm not saying you gotta punch him in the face, but you gotta like get him off of your guy and let guys know that that's not happening, or at least a hard foul on one of the Warriors players during the next game, during the next play, because you gotta let that be known that like that shit ain't right. And, so I would have liked to have seen more from him, but it is what it is. Speaking of the Warriors, Klay Thompson, I mean, he's been ass. Like, let's keep it real. Averaging 14 points a game this season. Klay was one of my favorite players in the league, one of the greatest shooters of all time, so I don't want to take anything away from him. Top 5 shooter of all time. Possibly the greatest 3-and-D player we've ever seen. I mean, when he's hot, he had, 37 points in a quarter, 15 threes in a game, but it feels like that Klay is long gone. He really hasn't been the same since the injury, if you want to keep it a buck. And unfortunately, just with him, he's definitely regressed. He's not the player that he used to be. Kind of feel bad for Steph Curry right now, because unfortunately he's kind of just really, I mean, he's in playing it at an MVP caliber, top 5 player in the league, but where's his help? Wiggins isn't playing well. Klay isn't playing well. Draymond, I always felt was overrated, but for what it was worth in his heyday, great defender, can stretch the floor a little bit. Heart and soul of the team, obviously. So his impact is bigger than stats, but from a stats perspective, he's not really giving you much, and he's not the player that he was. So it's kind of sad to see the Warriors, I guess, demise. I mean, obviously they were on top for years, long playoff runs. So at some point, you kind of had to come crashing down. Every championship team usually goes through it. I mean, the Bulls didn't, just because they retired after their 6 championships, but had they stayed together until the wheels fall off, we would have seen that as well. So it just comes with the territory, but definitely Klay is washed. I have no faith in Klay, and he's looking for a max deal. Like, that ain't happening. sure not getting a max deal, buddy. So he's washed. That's really sad. I mean, maybe we'll see. It's a long season. Maybe he'll turn things around. Shooters do go through slumps, but he just hasn't been the same in years. It doesn't pass the eye test as far as like that Klay that dropped 37 in the quarter, hit 15 threes. Like that guy's long gone. It doesn't pass the eye test, in my opinion. Other teams gonna stay out west. Obviously, the Clippers finally won a game a couple days ago. James Harden 4-point play to end off the game. Russ came off the bench. That was big of Russ. Obviously he's a Hall of Fame player. He didn't really have to do that. He didn't really have to volunteer to do that. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, top 75 player of all time. So he really didn't need to do that. I commend him for swallowing his pride and being able to come off the bench. And I think it ultimately will make them better because it's hard to have four guys in a starting lineup that need the ball in their hands. So obviously Kawhi, Paul George, and Harden can get you buckets, but they don't really play well off ball. So just getting that ball handler out of the starting lineup, one of them, I think it'll help a lot. And I'm sure Russ will acclimate coming off the bench. And, it'll help the guys just continue to build chemistry and get better because the Clippers have just been an utter disappointment for the past few years. Let's be real. They've had a lot of hype, haven't accomplished much, a lot of excuses. At the end of the day, they've just been a disappointment. They haven't really accomplished anything. Paul George and Kawhi are always injured. Harden isn't what he used to be. Obviously, Russ isn't what he used to be. So, and these big three, these super teams, past few years, they haven't really been working. I mean, the league is really competitive. A lot of teams have a lot of deep roster and roster depth. So you really need to have like a deep roster, a lot of talented role players. Maybe one or two superstars on your team, but getting 3-4 superstars and just having no bench and those days I think are over. Obviously, you have teams like the Celtics who their top six is really good, but their bench is iffy. So we'll see how that goes throughout the season. The Suns as well have an iffy bench. So we'll see. But you have teams like Denver, really deep. Obviously they're missing Jamal Murray, but they have the best player in the league in my opinion, and Jokic. A lot of solid role players around them. Jokic will make those guys better. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up in the finals again. I just don't believe in the Clippers and the Suns right now. It's a long season. Things can change. Speaking of the Suns, Bradley Beal's out for another 3 weeks. We'll see how that goes for them. It's kind of crazy. The oldest guy on the team, not the oldest guy, but the oldest star on their team, KD, is the one that's healthy right now, and the other guys are struggling with their health. So we'll see how that goes. But in other news before we wrap this up, obviously Zach LaVine is in the trade rumors right now. They're saying that the Bulls are looking to move him. Obviously it hasn't worked out since Lonzo Ball's been injured the past few years, and hasn't worked out since he's been out of the rotation. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, they're not, I'm a firm believer, if you don't have a superstar in your roster, you're not winning a championship, and I don't really believe in you as a true championship contender. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are really talented players, but I think they're both probably, if they're your third best player on a championship team, you really got a great team. But I don't think they can really be the lead dogs on your team, and your team will go far. Like I said, it hasn't worked out for years. It's just time to break it up. I think Zach LaVine would be a great fit with the Sixers, a great fit with the Lakers. I'd like to see him go to those teams. Same for DeMar DeRozan. So be on the lookout for that and see where they go. But, as always, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.